Rock 102, Springfield's Classic Rock. It's 5:34. And the Red Hot Chili Peppers with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102. It's going to be rainy with maybe even a little bit of snow. It's eventually going to turn to all rain, so I don't think you have to whip out the shovels. And a high of 43. Tonight, cloudy, low of 34. Tomorrow, partly cloudy and windy with a high of 41. It's about 41 degrees right now in downtown Springfield. Scott Cohen will be joining us later on this morning. We got lots of sports to talk to him about. Plus, we got some things to give away and some amazing stories peppered in the entire show as well. Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
Everyone has a project they want to...
Rock 102, Springfield's Classic Rock. It's 5:52 and Aerosmith with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
It is going to be rainy today with a high of 41. Tomorrow, mix of sun and clouds with a high of 39. It's 41 right now in downtown Springfield.
Hollywood Trash is brought to you by the Western Mass Masons. Call them for all your foundation and chimney needs.
Somehow you still care about what's happening in Hollywood. So, from Tinseltown, 3,000 miles away, it's Steve Nagle's Hollywood Trash.
Actor/comedian Russell Brand has been charged with rape, indecent assault, and other sex crimes by London's Metro Police. The charges relate to 4 separate incidents between 1999 and 2005 involving 4 different women. Russell tweeted a video denying all of it. He said, quote, "I was a fool before I lived in the light of the Lord. I was a drug addict, a sex addict, and an imbecile, but never was I a rapist. I've never engaged in non-consensual activity. I pray that you can see that by looking in my eyes. My severely bloodshot eyes from all of that
My
cocaine."
previously sex-addicted eyes.
Right. I don't know. Although SNL had a good dig at him over the weekend. They were doing a weekend update, and they announced the story about him, and Colin Jost says, which makes this clip even weirder, and it's Russell Brand introducing Chris Brown on SNL. "Ladies and gentlemen, Chris Brown." And he's like, "We really know how to pair him up here." Britain's Sun tabloid says Prince Harry is not happy that Meghan Markle is using their kids on social media to promote her brand. Quote, how Harry would much rather his children were not seen. He did an entire documentary about his life.
Yeah, but when you bring the kids in, I mean...
Yeah, but weren't they part of that? I
don't know if the kids... to be honest, I don't recall the kids being a part of it. It was mostly just the two of them.
Yeah. I don't know. I didn't watch the tabloidy show that they did. Yeah, the people who are like, please, come and watch what we do here and see that we're not the problem with the royal family, and come into our lives and take pictures and take cameras, and then, but please don't invade my privacy.
Well, again, think of it from his perspective. I mean, he was a kid who was on camera every single day of his life, being chased, but watching his parents, particularly his mom, being chased by paparazzi, no matter where they went. I can imagine he's uncomfortable. I mean, he may do things that may seem somewhat hypocritical in that, but...
Then just step completely out of the spotlight.
Well, his wife won't allow that.
That's what I'm talking about. Maybe he's got problems with the wife.
Maybe
that's what's going on.
That's a possibility.
Does Hugh Grant look like a sex trafficker? Immigration officials at London Heathrow's airport apparently thought so. Hugh revealed in a tweet that they quizzed his children on Friday, quote, "Just came through Heathrow with wife and children. We all have the same last name on our passports. Immigration officer engages my children in chit-chat, then whispers to them, 'Are these your mom and dad?' Intrusive, insulting, and creepy."
Well, he's got a long history of insulting and creepy.
Hugh and his wife Anna Eberstein have 3 kids together, 12, 9, and 7, and he has 2 kids with another woman who are 12 and 13. It's not clear which gaggle of children he was traveling with.
By the way, he had no kids with that hooker he hung up with when he was married to Elizabeth What's-Her-Face.
Wasn't the hooker a dude?
No, it was not a dude.
Who am I thinking of? Oh, that was Eddie Murphy.
Eddie Murphy.
Yeah, right. He was 64. Maybe I get my hookers and celebrities mixed up.
It's easy to do. It's very simple.
He was 64. Maybe the fact that he's an older guy with young kids maybe raised some flags. I don't know. They were kind of like, looking at him like he was some sort of weirdo.
We've all been there. Think about your dad that way.
I guess so. Back in 2022, Bill Murray was working on a movie called Being Mortal, which was being directed by Aziz Ansari. I'm sorry, too. And he did something to the female crew member that it got it canceled. Well, Bill still doesn't think what he did was bad. He says, I was wearing a mask and I gave her a kiss and she was wearing a mask. It wasn't like I touched her, but it was just, I gave her a kiss through a mask and she wasn't a stranger. He adds, I certainly thought it was light. I thought it was funny. To me, it's still funny. The idea that you could give somebody a kiss with a mask on, it's still stupid. It all was. It still bothers him that everything came to a halt the way it did. Quote, there was no conversation, there was nothing, there was no peacemaking, nothing. I don't go too many days or weeks without thinking about it.
I try not to kiss anybody in a mask. One of my own or one of theirs.
Yeah, I guess he was just trying to be funny.
Most of the times he is. Some of the times he's not.
But the problem is when you touch somebody who didn't want to be touched, that might be the issue.
Perhaps.
I mean, I see he's kind of using the, it's so stupid we're all wearing masks, see? But there's also people who don't want to be touched by Bill either.
I'm a famous comedian. Everyone thinks I'm hilarious, including this woman I just assaulted.
The movie Wild Things is called Wild Things for a reason. A lot of wild things happen in it. But the wildest thing that ever happened in it wasn't supposed to be that wild. It wasn't even supposed to happen.
What happened?
There's a scene where Matt Dillon's character walks in on Kevin Bacon's character while he's taking a shower on its own. It's legendary. It's wild. Because it was called Wild Things.
Right.
Know? But in the original script, the two of them make out.
That's wild.
Unfortunately, they never filmed it, and Kevin's still disappointed. Kevin wanted to deliver the bacon, if you know what I'm saying.
I hear you.
I was definitely into it. Look at him. He's gorgeous. He adds, quote, part of what was crazy about the movie was that there were all these twists, that was like the hook of the movie. So to me, the kiss was a great twist. That's all. I was like, that would be an awesome twist. I think Kevin Bacon just wanted to kiss Matt Dillon.
Well,
because that movie as a whole, the part where those two chicks make out, that was pretty hot.
Sure.
But the movie itself was a horrible movie. There was nothing good about the movie. It wasn't a very...
No, but if it would have put like 10 more seats...
Maybe.
In the theaters, that would have been almost enough to save it.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No, we're not judging.
Kim Kardashian was spotted stumbling out of a Beverly Hills juice bar after allegedly downing 3 turmeric enemas and a wheatgrass shot that went straight to her core, according to a passerby. Anyway.
You had something to say.
Oh my God, the last time something shot up inside of me and made me see colors was when Ray J launched a disappointment dart straight into my forgiveness chamber in that sex tape you can purchase on YouPorn for $39.95.
Caitlin?
Well, I never got that down and dirty with your mother, Chris Kim. But there was one night we ordered the chef's special from this place in Koreatown that doesn't exist on Yelp. That's the tongue punch bowl with a side of pork regret.
What are you trying to say?
What I'm trying to say is I buttered her sin biscuit while she flossed my drive shaft with her shame noodles. We locked eyes under the glows of a lava lamp, and when it was all over, she said, "Did you just unzip my childhood trauma?" And I said, "No, Chris, I just rearranged your furniture." Bax, it's like the old saying, you can lead a horse to water, but it's when it starts moaning, that ain't water. By the way, the rearranging of furniture is called the bung shui. And that's your Hollywood trash on Rock 102.
You already...
And now, Bax's View from the Couch, brought to you by Rocky's Ace Hardware, Benjamin Moore Paint,
Cabot stains, plus rock-solid painting advice and expertise.
Hey, good morning, sports fans. How the heck are you? Folks, tonight's the men's NCAA basketball championship game between the University of Houston Cougars against the Florida Gators. Two number one seeds that knocked off the other number one seeds to remain the last two remaining number one seeds. Did I have either one of these number one seeds facing each other in my brackets? No, I did not. Instead, I had the other number two seeds that couldn't handle these two number one seeds that did make it to the finals. And while I can sit here and mope about it, I prefer to talk about other things. The women, for example. Yesterday, the UConn Huskies won their first national championship in 9 years. How things managed to go this long without another championship, I will never know. All I can tell you is that yesterday afternoon, the Huskies were ready to smoke the Carolina Gamecocks by annihilating everything that team has stood for by a score of 87-58. Good enough for Gino Auriemma's 12th national title. Listen, South Carolina could have been a team that could have won that game. They only lost 3 times all season long. Of course, one of those losses came on February 16th when they lost to UConn by 29 points. Yesterday, despite losing the national title, I suppose the Gamecocks could take some comfort in knowing that this time they only lost by 23. Sure, you may not win a championship playing like that, but I would choose to look at these scoring these extra 6 points as a major step in the right direction. Now, while some would suggest that they were unprepared to face Paige Buckers and the Huskies in the finals, I would suggest that keeping things close with that 23-point deficit was about as good as anyone could expect. I'm sure that fans of South Carolina basketball might feel a little differently, but this is a discussion that I would be having with my team if I were head coach Don Saley on the bus ride home. But sometimes it's not about winning or losing. Sometimes it's about not getting caught up in another 29-point blowout to the same team for the second time in a month, because that would be embarrassing. Nevertheless, congratulations to the Huskies for their championship. Championship number 12. I think that's amazing. But hey, enough of my yapping. Sports brought to you by Rocky's Ace Hardware. The same Ego battery powers your mower, your string trimmer, and your blower. What do you know? All three are on sale right now at Rocky's. The Ego self-propelled mower, handheld blower, string trimmer. Bonus, you also get a spare battery. Goodbye gas and hello Ego. Available now at your neighborhood Rocky's Ace Hardware. I'm Bax. That's my view from the couch.
Rock 102, Springfield's classic rock.
Rock 102, Springfield's classic rock. It's 6:13 and Brian Adams with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
It's going to be rainy today with a high of 40. Tomorrow, mix of sun and clouds with a high of 39. It's 40 right now in downtown Springfield.
Scott Cohen will be joining us a little bit later on this morning, and also got more tickets to a great show coming to the 52 Summer. Vintage Skinnerd. The Skinnerd tribute band, and we'll talk about how you can win those tickets a little bit later on.
Vintage Skinnerd.
Vintage with a Y.
Isn't all of it vintage?
Yeah, but it's not with a Y. This is with a Y.
So if you spell vintage with a Y, it makes it more vintage.
Right. If I went to like a thrift shop to buy some vintage clothes, it would be VINTAGE. This is VYNTAGE.
I like it.
I know.
I like it.
Yeah.
Who's playing Ronnie Van Zant?
I don't know.
All right. Well,
it's Ronnie Van Zant with a Y.
Actually, you know, I've heard some great feedback about these shows that have been going over there, and people seem to really like them. So it's good on them that they're getting entertainment, value entertainment.
And entertainment that's close by. You don't have to drive like 2-3 hours away to go see it.
Exactly, which is what I did yesterday. Yesterday, I drove to New York City with my daughter, who really wanted to see this guy, or I say guy. He's a kid. His name is Maddox Batson, and he's like a 13-year-old country star.
Oh, let's listen to a half second of it.
Oh yeah. This song is called "Tears in the River," and it's about a breakup. And it's really poetic because 13-year-olds really write deep, poetic things about breakups.
Well, Steve, once you've loved and lost, it's a kind of emotion that you never let go, regardless of what age you may be.
And I listened to this about 300 times before we got there, so I think I know all the words.
Well, then you won't mind hearing it one more time.
Oh, no. Yeah. So months ago, my kid says she wants to go see this. Now, This is also a kid that wanted to go see Taylor Swift. And there's no way I'm shelling out that kind of money to go see Taylor Swift. I mean, you were talking like $800 to $1,500 for a ticket to go see Taylor Swift.
And no parent loves their kid that much.
We took the easy way out and went and saw the movie for $20 when it came to the movie theaters. And so then when she asked to go see this, the tickets were only like $35-$40 or something like that. It wasn't very expensive at all.
Okay.
And I said it was in New York City, and I'm like, well, that's not too bad. I mean, we could make it down there. Maybe take a train, or I could just drive right in. That's exactly what I did. I drove right into the city yesterday, and it wasn't bad. There wasn't that much traffic. You figure on a Sunday afternoon, it's not going to be too bad. There was nothing else major going on there.
Sure. At
the time. And it took us almost like 3 hours, just about 3 hours to get down there. There was some congestion once you get to the RFK Bridge, and then the shaky RFK Jr. Bridge, which is right next to it. But there's
the one that injects you right into, or doesn't inject you right into the city.
Right. It kind of just takes you on this weird trip somewhere else that you don't know where you're going. But anyway,
nothing but dead bears and dolphins on the side of the road.
So it was just her and I. It was my youngest daughter, and we drive all the way down there, and we had a nice little trip down, and get into the city. I parked the car in a garage. And we get out. It's Union Square. It's Irving Plaza is the theater that it's supposed to be. Now we didn't go. We had a couple of hours to go before the show started. So I said, let's go get something to eat because I like pizza. And we found this pizza place in Union Square, which was primo. It was called Pizza Pizzazz.
Really?
Yeah, and it was
original Pizza Pizzazz or famous Pizza Pizzazz.
Actually, it's the only one, and the owner was in there.
Ah, okay.
Speaking in a very cartoonish Italian, like, "Hey, welcome to the Pizza Pizzazz."
Was it a fake accent?
No, it wasn't.
You sure he wasn't faking it?
I'm embellishing his accent.
Oh, okay.
He was actually speaking, as an Italian person would. But it was artisanal. What is it? Is it
artisanal? Yeah,
artisanal.
Yeah.
How do you say that?
Like that, an artesian well is different from an artisanal pizza.
Well, you had all these like little personal pizzas you could buy, and you could get whatever top. I just wanted plain cheese. That's all you need.
Wow.
Sometimes less is more, and it was good.
How exciting!
It was good.
Yeah.
But it's a New York City slice of pizza, and it tasted just like I remembered.
Sure.
Anyway, so we leave there, and we walk down the street. It was probably like 2 blocks away to where the Irving Plaza Theater was. And I'm like, why don't I see a box office? Like, why am I not seeing people around here? And we walk up, and the thing is all caged off, and behind the cages it says, "I'm sorry, tonight's Maddox Batson concert has been postponed due to illness. And then tickets will be honored, at the later date, or you can get a refund at the point of sale or whatever."
So the show is canceled because Maddox is ill?
Yeah, 2 Tears on the River. Now, I had checked this kid's website. I had checked all the social media pages, and everything was seemingly okay. Well, we left at noontime, and everything was fine then. It's now 5 o'clock, and the show is now canceled. So he canceled it sometime in between noon and 5 p.m.
Who's this little dweeb thinks he is? You got all these teenage girls probably crying, all upset, pissed off that all of a sudden the show they desperately wanted to see is canceled.
So my daughter's like, she's upset about it, but it's not like the end of the world. This sucks. It sucks that we just drove all the way down here and then we got to drive all the way back. I felt bad. There was another a mom and her kids walk up, and all these kids were dressed. I don't think I understood the phenomena of this kid.
Mm-hmm.
He's very popular. He's popular. I felt like what's her name in Ferris Bueller. Oh, everybody loves him. The dweebs, the geeks, freaks.
He's very popular.
He's very popular. So this other lady walks up with her daughter, and there was other family members there, and they were like, "Oh, is this where the show is?" And I go, "Yeah, well, it's not here tonight." I said they've postponed it to he's sick, I guess. And this kid looked like she just lost, that was the end of her life. And then she starts like crying, and the mother's like hugging her, and she's like, "It's okay." And I'm like, "Hey, it's gonna be all right, don't worry." And then the mother goes, "It's not gonna be all right. Her grandmother just died like the other day. This was supposed to be this like family trip they were taking, and they had spent 2 days in the city yesterday, yesterday and the day before." So I turned to my daughter and I'm like, "See, it could be worse. You could have lost somebody like recently. So of course I was like, "Hey, you want to make a TikTok? Do you want to make a TikTok video to tag this guy in it, this Maddox Batson?"
Right.
So I started filming, and I let her have a little message for Maddox Batson. And do we have the audio?
You remember the whole video?
I don't know if we can do the whole video.
Or just her part?
Just her part is fine.
All right.
And I said, hey, Maddox, this young lady has a little bit of something to say for you.
I didn't tell you this. I did isolate this because it was so precious.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, here you go.
All right, here we go. So this is your daughter's reaction, okay?
Really, Maddox? On my dead mother's heavenly birthday? Really?
On my dead mother's heavenly
birthday.
Yeah, because it was her dead mother's heavenly birthday yesterday.
So this little kid thinks they got problems?
Yeah, well, no. I mean, this kid just lost somebody. This is where I was like, okay, well, I can't really,
Well, I mean, I understand the sadness, but
yeah.
I mean, for crying
Really,
out loud.
Maddox? On my dead mother's heavenly birthday? Really?
That is your kid, man. That is your kid.
Well, apple doesn't fall far. That's for sure. But you know what? I mean, it is what it is, and I don't know when the show is going to be rescheduled or whatever, but, we got back in the car and we drove. We had a nice time. It was a nice time, hanging out and, hanging out with Dad. She was upset that we couldn't go see the guy, but
there's enough things to do in New York that you can turn the whole day around if you want to. You know what that means, getting back in the car and driving home.
That's exactly what we did. We got back in the car and we drove all the way back home, which was fine because that means I didn't have to spend $50 on a T-shirt for Maddox Batson. So then we, we're driving home, and I was saying, I'm like, I checked all of those websites. I didn't see any of that stuff. So I said, check, and I was letting her check my Instagram, and I said, go check and see what time that he posted that. It was only like an hour before the show. It wasn't like, this was planned at noontime. Like, I said I left at noontime. I checked at probably about 11:30 in the morning. And he didn't put it up. And you see him sitting there in his little Instagram story, and he's like, "Yeah, well, sorry, kids. There's people around here, because I've been kind of sick for a week, and they say you probably should just put this off and reschedule the show." And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, because he's 13 years old.
Young ladies, I can't perform tonight.
Right.
I've been puking for 6 hours.
Oh.
Head's been in the toilet, and I pooped myself.
Listen, if you want to go watch. Go search up this kid on TikTok, and you can watch the different concerts that he's done, and you can see that I dodged a bullet. Because it's all these little girls running and screaming towards the stage like the Beatles just came out at the Ed Sullivan Theater.
It's 6:25 in Rock 102. It's 6:27 with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
Dan Brown has the full forecast for you.
Hey, this week on Baxy's Musical Podcast, my guest is Detroit rock legend Lauren Molinaire. This is a guy whose latest band called the Slam Denises is about to release their second album on the 25th of April called Wild and Restless. It's a wicked fun record. But Lauren's background is really amazing. It goes all the way back to the mid-'60s, where he was playing in a band called The Dogs. This is in Detroit, about the time that the Stooges and the MC5 were playing there. But he's got some amazing stories about, including opening up for Bob Seger, opening up for AC/DC in New York and being told that they're playing too loud and they weren't asked back. Imagine opening up for AC/DC and AC/DC says you're playing too loud.
You're just too darn loud.
Too damn loud. Also talks about sharing management with Van Halen. Bunch of amazing, amazing stories, and you can hear that starting today on Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Spotify, the Rock 102 YouTube channel, rock102.com, as well as the Rock 102 app, and it's all brought to you by Metro, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram at Chicopee, and Rock 102 Springfield's Classic Rock.
All right, are you ready to laugh?
I am ready to laugh.
Maybe I should push the button. There you go.
It's Bax and Nagle's Joke of the Day
I'm funny how? I mean funny like I'm a clown, I amuse you.
on Rock 102,
I make you laugh.
Springfield's Classic Rock.
My neighbor told me he's going to be introducing a new revolutionary dildo very, very soon.
No kidding.
Yeah, he's been sitting on it for a while. Really, Bax? On my dead mother's heavenly birthday?
Oh, yeah. I took it out.
Bax and Nagle.
633 with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102. It's time for news brought to you by Gary Rome Hyundai. Technicians get up to a $5,000 sign-on bonus right now. Learn more at GaryRomeHyundai.com/family. Here's local radio icon Steve Nagle.
Thanks, Max. The Connecticut Department of Energy and Environmental Protection, or DEEP, has warned the public to avoid the Connecticut River due to a major sewer line break in East Windsor. On Friday, I guess, the town of East Windsor identified a sanitary sewer line break adjacent to the Connecticut River. DEEP said that an estimated 300,000 gallons of raw sewage may be discharging into the river every single day.
Every day.
Every day.
Okay. Now, that's in Connecticut, right?
Yeah, so that happened on the 3rd. Today is now the 7th. So that's, 1.2 million gallons of raw sewage?
Now, I don't know enough about major bodies of water, but doesn't that water flow in a southerly direction?
Yeah, we don't have to worry about it so much.
Yeah, so if you want to swim...
We got our own problems up here.
I was going to say, if you want to swim in the river this week up here...
Yeah.
Knock yourself out.
It's brown trout season. So, all those fishermen out on the river.
Sure, Will Reichelt's dipping his toe in it right now.
Ooh, it's Iron Man competition water. I can smell it now and feel it. Emergency repairs are underway, with response crews. Emergency repairs are with response crews on site assessing the damage. You have 5 guys standing out there going, "Yep, that's a lot of poo. Just shooting out of there."
I'm glad it ain't me got to get in there.
They're urging the public at this time to avoid any recreational activities where they may come in contact with the Connecticut River, including fishing and boating, from East Windsor downstream to at least Hartford.
Now, has anyone commented on the level of smell associated with the river at this time?
I don't know if anybody has or not.
Because the 300,000 gallons of sewage every day seems like a lot of sewage. Even if you had a gallon of sewage in your house, that would be enough to say, "Oh, we got to pick that up."
Well, how do you just make a distinction between the normal smell and the...
It probably smells worse than usual. And so I would think that the people in Connecticut are probably saying, "Whew, man, that Riverside property wasn't such a great thing after all."
Well, you're just, at least you're not, I don't remember what I was going to say. I'm a little tired this morning.
Yeah, me too.
Like the circuits aren't connecting all the way.
You know what you need?
Yeah. I know it's
that coffee,
ready,
babe.
but it's, whatever.
We can take a coffee break.
No, we're not taking a coffee break. We got to wait till at least 6:43.
Well, we don't have to stop the show. You can pour coffee while you're doing the show.
What do you think I am, Eversource? We don't work for Eversource, Bax. If we did, we'd have 8 guys standing around here watching us drink that cup of coffee. Which, by the way, I'm driving home last night. We took Route because I live out in the hills.
Right.
But the GPS takes you Route 8. You ever go Route 8 through Connecticut?
Sure.
And I'm driving. I think it was right around Torrington, I believe. This Eversource truck gets on the highway. Not like the power truck with the bucket on it. This was like one of those box trucks.
I've seen
box
those.
utility truck things. and the guy's got a bucket hanging off the back of it. And it was strapped to the thing, and the bucket is just blowing in the wind.
He's got a flappy bucket?
Yeah. And I'm like, don't they put all this stuff inside the truck?
I believe so.
And I'm like, do you realize how much these buckets cost?
Quite a bit.
Buckets cost so much that we're increasing rates by 30% to cover the cost of the buckets.
Imagine what they'll charge us when they replace all the buckets.
Yeah. I just thought it was weird having this bucket just flap around and behind the truck.
Now,
and
you know why there isn't costs.
And it looked pretty secure on there because it had that cable, one of those cable things on it. But it was just kind of weird. It was just like, well, why is the bucket just hanging off there? Wouldn't you take that bucket and put it inside the truck?
I don't know. I don't know enough about utilities to know for sure.
A Springfield man was arrested and charged with DUI on Saturday after crashing his vehicle in Vermont. See, they make it sound like he was here and went off the road and landed in Vermont.
So he probably got drunk in Vermont.
Probably. Vermont State Police said that approximately 7:04 p.m. on Saturday, troopers received a report of a single vehicle crash on Bear Mountain Road in Killington. Police approached the vehicle to speak with the operator, identified as 58-year-old Joseph Giannetti of Springfield, and observed signs of impairment. Police said that when asked to perform roadside standardized field sobriety tests, Giannetti refused. He was then arrested for suspicion of driving under the influence. He was brought to Vermont State Police Rutland Barracks and processed and released on a citation. He's scheduled to appear in Rutland County Superior Court on April 21st. To answer for the charge. Boston neurology researchers have created a test that would allow patients to detect Alzheimer's at home with a series of sniffs. A sniff test.
Okay.
The test, developed by Mass General Brigham neurology researchers, tests a person's smell recognition and recall in connection to neurodegenerative diseases. Results of the Aroma brain test found that olfactory dysfunction, the loss of smell or ability to identify and remember smells, increased with age and was often worse among those with mild cognitive impairment. Results were consistent across English and Spanish speakers, and participants performed the test equally successfully, regardless of whether they were observed by a research assistant. Our goal has been to develop and validate a cost-effective, non-invasive test that can be performed at home, helping to set the stage for advancing research and treatment for Alzheimer's. Which, that's actually a pretty good thing.
It's a pretty good thing, but what happens if you get the tests, you get the test at home, it's delivered, but then you forgot where you left it?
Yeah, see, that might.
I think that's probably more indicative of whether your cognitive decline has progressed or not.
Well,
maybe more so than the sniff test.
You know, in the case of my mother, I think she knew she was losing her memory, but she was too embarrassed to say anything about it. I think that happens.
That
too,
happens a lot.
You're still well aware of what's going on, but you're like, oh, wait a minute.
Well, I'm sure you've probably seen, and maybe your mom did this or not, but a lot of people who have it tend to get very agitated and very angry because they realize they're not remembering stuff that they should remember.
That happened a little bit later,
right?
As the disease progressed, it was more like kind of spacing out kind of thing.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, we didn't think anything of it. I space out all the time.
I'm spaced out right now.
That was our defense mechanism growing up in a household with a guy who, you didn't want to pay attention to.
Just space out.
We just space out. Oh, he's drinking again. Oh, just keep spacing out.
It's probably better just to ignore it and deny it.
Oh, it's like a chameleon. You want to camouflage into the scenery. You don't want to be. You don't want to stand out. You don't want to stick out. Let's see. What else is going on? Here's a guy who walked into a Family Dollar. If you're thinking about working at a Family Dollar and you're making a list of perks and drawbacks of the job, this should be on it. A man in New Hampshire walked into a Family Dollar on Saturday night, shouted, "Hey!" to the clerk, and then ran out. The clerk says he was a heavy-set man who was totally naked, although he was wearing a surgical mask, maybe to protect himself from germs.
He didn't want to catch anything.
Police are investigating or asking if anyone recognizes the guy, but thankfully they did not release any photos of the streaker. Well, they should.
How are you supposed to identify the guy?
How are you supposed to? Because I don't think there's too many people out there look.
You don't know that?
Yeah, that's true too.
Could be like a whole, kind of like the mummers. You know, like they could go from like bar to bar.
If they,
they're all dressed the same. This could be like a whole group of naked fat guys with masks on their face.
If they can find him, he'll be charged with indecent exposure. It doesn't sound like the clerk recognized the guy. So maybe it was a dare. Hey, I dare you to go into the Family Dollar completely naked, but just wearing a mask.
I'm going to need more than just a simple dare.
But, maybe you're right, because how many times have we heard of, like, people recognizing, like, bank robbers wearing, like, weird hats.
Or just because of their voices.
Right. But wearing a hat to throw you off from the whole thing.
Yeah.
So if this guy walks in completely naked, are you focused on the guy's face anyway? Probably not.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question.
You're probably focused on the guy's size and the fact that he's completely naked.
That his business is hanging out.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, that guy's naked. You don't even look at his face. Hey, my eyes are up here.
Yeah, but think about it. If the guy's like severely overweight,
yeah,
you're not seeing nothing.
You don't know that.
You're just seeing a roll.
We don't know how severely overweight he is, and for all you know, weight or not, he could be a shower, not a grower.
But listen, I'm a big guy.
Yeah.
When I was at my biggest, things tend to, get hidden by the gut.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're a much bigger guy, then it's completely gone.
Well, again, without pictures, without some sort of sketch from a police sketch artist.
Yeah,
we're never going to know.
I'm a little disappointed in the police by not at least putting the face, putting the mask face on.
They could always pixel out the business.
Yeah, why don't they do that?
I don't know. What are they afraid of?
Probably indecent exposure.
You want to catch this guy, don't you?
I don't know if they want to catch him. Maybe there's like maybe there's rolling footage in the back room in the back of the police station going, hey, watch it again. Here he comes in. Don't catch this guy. I want to see this over and over and over again. Your Pioneer Valley forecast today is going to be rainy with a high of 40. Tomorrow, mix of sun and clouds with a high of 39. It is 39 right now in downtown Springfield. I'm Steve Nagle, and that's the news on Rock 102. Oh, yeah.
Quiet, please. You hear that?
Rock 102, Springfield's Classic Rock at 6:51, and Joe Walsh with Bax and Nagle and Rock 102.
It's going to be rainy today with a high of 39. Tomorrow, sunny with a high of 39. It is 39. There's all these 39s going on here.
I don't know.
We're not quite yet 40 yet.
Lordy, look, it's still 39.
Lordy.
Hey, we got Scott Cohen coming up a little bit later on this morning. Another round of tickets to see Vintage Skinnerd at 52 Sumner on the 12th. That's this upcoming weekend, so we'll tell you all the details about that a little bit later on today.
This video I made on TikTok yesterday is picking up steam because I tagged the kid singer in it. If you didn't hear it earlier, I did this video yesterday on TikTok. I drove all the way to New York City for my daughter wanted to go see this concert, and the concert was canceled. Like, obviously before we got there.
While you were driving.
While we were driving there, it must have been canceled. But I made a little video about it, and I tagged the artist in it. His name is Maddox Batson. He's like 13 years old, but he's super popular. Like, he's a really popular kid. And I told you, I was standing there on the corner of the street, and all these little girls are walking up wearing, like, cowboy hats and, like...
Spurs and the white-up sneakers.
Yeah, they have signs. They're ready to, like, rush the stage, at this concert. And I felt bad for that. But when I tagged this kid in it, all of a sudden, like, there's people commenting on the TikTok that they're clearly not followers of me.
Oh, of course not.
And they're like, oh, I'm so sorry that happened to you. I just saw him last week and, whatever. But they keep tagging him.
Yeah.
Because they want him to see it. So I can't wait for this. I can't wait for this young man to go, who is this 46-year-old douche complaining that he couldn't get into my show yesterday?
I think once you see the entire video on TikTok, you realize, Maddox Batson's got some explaining to do.
He does have some explaining to do. But he didn't even look sick on the video. I told you, I let my daughter go on Instagram and look at the at his story.
Yeah.
Because he posted a story that he was canceling the show. He's like, I guess, well, kids, I've been feeling a little sick lately, and I was going to do the show, but then all these other people are like, oh, well, you should cancel. You should postpone.
Kids, my 10-gallon hat is feeling 5 gallons flat.
Kids, listen, I don't know. One of the people here said, you don't want to turn into another Dana Plato child star. You need to slow down.
The pace of entertaining all you young children is getting to me. That's why I've been sitting on the toilet for 9 straight days.
I told you that song that we were listening to, this Tears in the River song. Mm-hmm. It's very poetic. And I'm like, how poetic were you at 13 years old? Somebody clearly wrote that song for you.
Oh, very clearly.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's not really a deep
metaphor.
thinker at 13 years old.
No, when I was 13 years old, I was drawing pee-pees and wee-wees all over the bathroom stall. I wasn't writing poetic love songs.
No, why would you? You wouldn't do that now.
No, of course not. Somebody else wrote. I can't do it now. Somebody else wrote that stuff for him.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yes, and
probably someone also probably wrote out the script for his Instagram reel, so to let everybody know I'm sick. I'm sorry, I can't perform today in New York City because I got a tummy ache and I got boo-boos all over the place.
Yeah, meanwhile, what you don't see off the camera is the record exec holding a gun to his head telling, all right, this is what you say on the card.
Just read the card.
Just read the card and tell them that everything is going to be okay.
It's 6:56 on Rock 102.
And now, Bax's View from the Couch, brought to you by Rocky's Ace Hardware, Benjamin Moore Paint, Cabot Stains, plus rock-solid painting advice and expertise.
Hey, good morning, sports fans. How the heck are you? Folks, yesterday was a big day for the game of hockey. First of all, the Springfield Thunderbirds advanced to the Calder Cup playoffs for the first time in 2 years, thanks to the Hartford Wolfpack getting spanked by the Hershey Bears by a score of 2-1. This comes with 4 regular season games left to go, 3 of which are at home, and the opening round of the playoff kicks off on April 21st. Now, that's all very well and good, and you might think that sort of news is a sort of news that spreads all over the country, like some sort of viral Instagram sensation with lots of eggplant emojis everywhere. Unfortunately, this news is being slightly overlooked by the fact that Alex Ovechkin of the Washington Capitals became the NHL's all-time leading scorer, breaking the record previously held by the great Wayne Gretzky, scoring a power play goal against the New York Islanders in the second period. He now has 895 goals and only needed 1,487 games to do it. Ironically, that's the same number of games that it took Wayne Gretzky to get 1 goal less. Now, you might wonder what a guy like Wayne Gretzky might make if someone smashed into his greatest statistical achievement. I'll tell you this. He was nothing but gracious. He was the first one to shake Alex Ovechkin's hand after scoring that record-breaking goal. To me, that shows a lot of class and a great deal of sportsmanship. I know that for me, and I lost my second Pinewood Derby championship back in 1976, I would have thrown all my toys out the window and set them on fire. Yet, I don't get that sense that Wayne Gretzky sees things that way. For him, watching Alex Ovechkin score his 895th goal is ultimately a good thing for hockey, and that records are meant to be broken. And since Ovechkin reached that milestone was probably inevitable, I suppose throwing a public tantrum the way I would have done would probably be seen as ungentlemanly and immature. And perhaps that's what separates me from Hall of Fame caliber hockey players such as these. But hey, enough of my yapping sports brought to you by Rocky's Ace Hardware. The other songbirds are back and they're singing songs like, hey, why aren't you feeding me yet? Go to Rocky's for wild bird food. Buy 1 bag, get 1 free. Get suet cakes for $1.50. The birds are back in town. Keep them around all season long with bird food that you bought at your neighborhood Rocky's Ace Hardware. I'm Bax. That's my view from the couch.
Rock 102, Springfield's classic.
Rock 102, Springfield's classic rock. It's 7:10, and the Rolling Stones with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
It is going to be rainy today with a high of 39. Tomorrow, mix of sun and clouds with a high of 39. It's 39 now in downtown Springfield. It's the 39 Club.
It is a distinct delight to welcome him back to the studio, Scott Cohen.
Hi, guys.
What's up?
It's cold and rainy outside. I just walked in and I used the S word, and I'm like, this is just
sales.
Sales.
yeah. He knows what time it is.
I do.
Yeah, the weather's crappy, but everything else is. I mean, there's we have a lot to talk about. Before we get to the meat and potatoes, there's two things that I want to talk about quickly about in the NBA. If you go on YouTube, we all know who Draymond Green is from the Golden State Warriors, but if that guy was not in an NBA uniform, he would be in prison. Last night's game, they played the Rockets, I think.
Right.
And just go to YouTube and watch his antics. I can't believe that. I mean, what he did in that game is an arrestable offense, and he did it like 2 and 3 and 4 times. I mean, that he's just awful.
This is about elbowing like the guy from the Rockets.
Elbowing and just going, I mean, literally, he pulled a Dan Hurley. He just like freaked out at the referee. Completely unstable individual.
Well, he's had a long history. Of that.
And that's even worse. The fact that he's got a long history Bax is worse because it's like, dude, you're a grown man. You've been talked to about this over and over again, and he just can't friggin' help himself.
He's also the guy that was like crotch grabbing for the longest time ever.
Everything. He's a whack job, and he walks the streets.
You know what? He's kind of like in a way, kind of like a Bill Laimbeer character.
He's way worse than Bill Laimbeer.
But that kind of agitating character that drives other teams crazy because he's unpredictable and gets himself into kind of trouble. But when you're on Golden State, I think they really kind of want a guy who's going to be a little bit more stable.
They do, and that's why he's still there. So that's number one. And then the other NBA note, the Lakers beat Oklahoma City yesterday.
That was a big win.
Huge win. I mean, they crushed them. So anybody who Oklahoma City's got I think best record in the NBA, and they're just crushing it this year. But man, it's the Wild West. Stay tuned for the playoffs.
The tournament is over for the women.
Yeah.
UConn wins their 12th championship.
They did.
And they beat South Carolina, and they beat South Carolina back in February by 29 points.
Yep.
This time they beat South Carolina by 23 points.
Yep.
I just said my view from the couch. If I'm Don Staley, the coach of South Carolina, I got to say, you know what? That's progress.
Yeah. No, you know what she's probably saying to herself? Gino, you're 71. It's time to go. Please, I'm begging you, go.
But it's not.
It's
he
not.
He hasn't won a championship in 9 years, but even though it's been 9 years, he's been very, very competitive.
Just so close.
There's absolutely no denying that when it comes to college coaches, male or female,
he's the guy, man.
Regardless of how you feel about him or how you feel about UConn, there ain't nobody that's had a more successful run than this guy.
There's not. And when I was watched, me and a couple of my buddies got together and we went to the Toasted Owl in Northampton, and we're front and center from tip to the final buzzer to watch the game. And the bar was packed with people doing the same thing. We've had our fun with Gino Auriemma on this show.
Well, at his expense.
Over the years. And I've come full circle on that guy. He's now become literally he's the elder statesman of the game. He's been interviewed, all throughout the tournament, and he's thoughtful, thought-provoking. He just really has come around. That guy is a total class act. He deserves every accolade that he gets. And I'm just, I'm happy. She used to cover the program when I worked down in Hartford in television way back when he first got here, the UConn women were, made their first steps towards what they are today. A class act, and just mucho congratulations.
The men are playing tonight.
Yeah.
Houston and Florida. All 4 number 1 seeds make the Final Four. I had in my bracket Auburn taking on Duke. Auburn, lost a fairly close game to Florida. Duke puked all over themselves
They did, Bax.
and handed that game away.
They did.
That was unbelievable. How they just completely fell apart, and Houston took total advantage of it.
An epic meltdown. They have the best college basketball player on the planet in Cooper Flagg, and he had a huge game. He's going to go on to NBA stardom without question. But man, oh man, I think there was from the 10-minute mark to like the 6-minute mark, they didn't score like a single point, and that's just it's unforgivable. But when Duke was throwing up all over themselves, Houston made some huge shots down the stretch. And that the Houston team now, you harken back to Phi Slamma Jamma, back in the 80s. I covered those teams when I was working down in Texas. So I'm going to be pulling hard for Houston tonight.
It could go either way.
Yeah.
I mean, Florida's like a 1.5 point favorite.
They are, and deservedly so. I would, unless you're a diehard college basketball fan, I don't think anybody knows very much about the Florida Gators until the tournament started. But yeah, they're for real. They're there, but so's Houston, and it should be a great game. Although going to be super late, man. But 9:15.
I think it
tip
starts
off.
at,
Come on, man.
It's way too late
Way
for
too late.
reasonable people to be looking at things.
How about them Springfield Thunderbirds?
Yeah.
huh?
I
Yep.
know. They thanks to Hartford, they are now in the playoffs for the first time in 2 years.
T-Birds won their game against Lehigh at Lehigh on the road on Saturday in overtime, and Hartford lost to Hershey. So the T-Birds are in, I think, third time in the last 4 years.
Yeah,
So-
last year they missed it.
Yep.
Missed the cut, but this year they're back in.
Yeah, that's great. And then you go to one of those games down there. They do a great job. It's a lot of fun, and go to Nadim's beforehand. Have a little souvlaki and
So
and then go across the street to the hockey game.
It's great news for the team. It's great news for Springfield. That's awesome. But the other big hockey news is Alex Ovechkin finally surpasses Wayne Gretzky.
Yep, 895 goals, scored it against the Islanders yesterday. Although Washington ended up on the short end of the game, but yeah, if you look on Alex Ovechkin's, and listen, I'm not casting any aspersions, guys. You go on Alex Ovechkin's Instagram page and his profile picture or avatar or whatever you want to call it. It's him and Vladimir Putin. So I thought that was a little disconcerting.
Probably a very big day for Vladimir Putin to be hanging out with Alex Ovechkin.
So, but Ovechkin's the guy now. They had a great ceremony after. I mean, dude, they stopped that game for 20 minutes yesterday, which I thought was a little over the top.
I will say this, though, because last week I read this quote from Wayne Gretzky, and he was like the first one to shake Ovechkin's hand.
He said he was gonna be there and be the first to shake his hand.
There was a quote that he said about something that his dad had told him when he beat Gordie Howe's record, and he just said, I want you to remember this when somebody beats your record, and how don't be upset when it happens.
Yep.
Just realize how great it is for hockey when someone finally does it.
Yep.
And he took that to heart, and rather than being angry or rather than going full Mark Gastineau on this thing, he took it with a great deal of class. So you have to commend Wayne Gretzky for doing the right thing.
Absolutely, and you mentioned Gastineau and the sack record with Michael Strahan and Brett Favre. Remember that we saw that, everybody saw that video. But same thing with Eric Dickerson when Saquon Barkley was on the verge of breaking his single season rushing record. Dickerson was like, no, I don't want him to break it. The hell with that. No, that record's mine, blah, blah, blah. But hockey's different. They're different.
I know it was a movie, but 61, you remember? You ever seen 61?
Yeah.
Was it like Babe Ruth's family upset that somebody was going to break that record of the home runs and all that stuff? So, there's no... Oh my God! Don't besmirch the record, but somebody's got to break it eventually.
But even the fans were against. Everybody was against him breaking that.
Everybody was, and if you watch the movie 61 or know anything about what happened back then, it's like Roger Maris came to the Yankees. He was not a true dyed in the wool a homegrown Yankee. He was, basically, and right a couple of years after he broke the record, he was traded to St. Louis. So he was just had a cup of coffee with the Yankees, and he was kind of a vagabond, and they wanted one of their own to have the record, and that was the story with Roger Maris.
Got to talk about the Red Sox. They are now
right into that.
A half game behind the New York Yankees.
First place.
Turning things around.
Complete turnaround. Complete. We go, you know what? It's what makes sports, I suppose. We just go bananas when things aren't going right. And it's like the sky's falling and Rafael Devers isn't going to get a hit the whole season. And then all of a sudden a couple of games goes by and we're right back where we want to be.
I don't know why you guys freak out like in the beginning of the season. Oh, my God, this is the end.
Right.
It's like they're just coming off spring training.
Yep.
Those games have lopsided scores all the time. They're just getting into their groove. You got to wait at least until July to make an accurate prediction.
Steve, you are absolutely right, but
even then, think about how many times you've been 15 games ahead by August, and all of a sudden you wind up 5 games behind by the time the end of the season.
Right.
See, but that's what being a Red Sox fan is really all about.
That's true.
We expect the worst.
We do.
We want the best. But we know better.
And we know better.
Yes.
History has taught us
time and time again
that we put right back there in the back of our heads.
Yeah,
so.
we forget the fact that every other team in baseball also doesn't get to win a World Series
don't.
either. But this is our problem. It's our curse.
Imagine being a Kansas City Royal fan or a San Diego Padre fan. Yeah. But back to what Steve was saying, but everybody comes out of spring training the exact same way. And those 4 games, the first week of the season, they count exactly like the last 4 games in September. Yeah. So you got to make hay when the sun shines.
But it's also funny how we look at early season statistics and say, all right, well, that's it. Rafael Devers
he's
is
done.
He's done.
He's off the
never going to
list.
hit another hit. But he has turned things around the last couple of games.
Completely. 4 for 4 yesterday, and the signing of Bregman has just been
He's turned out great.
Perfect.
But the real star of that team right now is Wilber Abreu.
Yep.
Who his batting average is a .483 and a .595 on base percentage. It's the highest of any Red Sox player in history for the first 10 games with a minimum of 25 plate appearances.
And
obviously that won't last and it won't continue to be that way. But that's a hell of a start for a kid.
And he's a Gold Glover at his position, and came up with just a huge throw to nail a guy at third base last night. So he's the whole package.
You say make hay when the sun shines?
Well,
I like his anal G's.
That's the kind of thing the man over 60 says all the time.
Exactly.
I'm just going to call them Cohen anal G's.
Hey, come on now. I'm right here. I can hear what you're saying.
Is he here?
He's right over here. He's right over here. You also there's a Red Sox documentary coming out that's pretty interesting too.
Yeah, I heard some. So a Red Sox documentary is dropping tomorrow. I believe it's a kind of a wrap up of their season from last year, and there's an interview, with Jaron Duran where he was really forthcoming about his mental health struggles, and he actually talked about there was a time a couple of years ago where he considered suicide and actually had a gun with a bullet in the chamber and pulled the trigger. The gun didn't go off. And it really, kind of made him look at his life. But just really very, very thought-provoking. There'll probably be a lot of articles about it today if you want to go check it out. But the documentary starts airing tomorrow night.
All right.
I can't make any jokes about that.
No, you can't make jokes about that.
Way to end it on a spine.
way to kick it off there, Scotty.
All right, hey, pulling for the Cougs tonight in the national championship game.
All right, very good. Scott Cohen, 7:25 on Rock 102. Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
Dan Brown has the full forecast for you.
Rock 102 wants to help you get your home improvement project done with Pick Your Project, brought to you by Dave Miner Exterior Home Improvements. You get $5,000 in cash, which you can use towards any number of things, including replacing your roof or skylights with Dave Miner, heating, oil deliveries, HVAC, plumbing, and electrical services from Noonan Energy, water pumps, water filtration, and water treatment options from Aquapump. How about some relaxation in your summer with 21st century pools and spas, or septic tank pumping and Title V inspections from Linton Septic? I don't have enough Title V inspections in my life. That's the one I choose. Want to win $5,000? It's simple. Just go to rock102.com before noon on April 25th when one winner will be chosen at random. It's Pick Your Project, brought to you by Dave Miner Exterior Home Improvements and Rock 102 Springfield's Classic Rock.
Title Fives. Be lucky they get a Title 1 through 4.
Give me a Title 2 and 3. We'll call it even.
What is I know that Title 5 is relating to a septic system. But is that like... what is this code thing that everybody keeps talking about?
Here's my understanding.
I'm an idiot,
and I'm
by
sure.
the way, so don't please, if you're like, well, how'd you not know what that is, Nagle? Because I don't.
Well, here's my understanding, and if I'm wrong, then that's fine. But Title V is about the size of the tank relative to the number of people in the house, or how many bedrooms are in the house. So, for example, if you have 2 bedrooms. And then you put a 3rd bedroom on, then all of a sudden you have to make sure that a 3rd person is not going to, that your tank isn't going to explode with all the extra bathroom activity.
I get that. When I bought my house, they had to upgrade it to a 4-bedroom because
that's it.
The house had been renovated, but they didn't upgrade the system to the 4, whatever. But what's Title 1 through 4? What is that? Do you know what those are?
Title 1 there's got to be, I have no idea.
Well, I'm just, is it like, how many titles are there? Is it end at 5? Or
30, 40, whatever it takes.
What's Title 6? What's Title 7, 8, 9, 10?
Well, Title 9 is about, equal events for men and women in sports.
But we're talking about 2 different things here.
If you have a house and say like you're running basketball tournaments, you have to have an equal tournament for the women.
So that's the Title 9 of the house.
That's the Title 9 of the house.
So what's Title 1? We got to figure out what all these are. Title 1, Title 2, Title 3, Title 4. We know what 5 is for sure.
Yeah, 5 is the septic.
Well, what's Title 1 through 4?
Well, if someone was a home inspector, I'm sure they could be happy to tell us. But, oh, my God, look at the time.
Jeez.
We got news next on Rock 102.
Here's your Western Mass News First Alert for
7:33 with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102. It's time for news brought to you by Gary Rome Hyundai. Technicians get up to a $5,000 sign-on bonus right now. Learn more at GaryRomeHyundai.com/family. His local radio icon, Steve Nagle.
Thanks, Bax. The West Springfield police are looking for a woman who allegedly tried to steal from a store on Memorial Avenue and then got into a fight before taking off. The police department says that on Wednesday, March 19th.
Isn't today the 7th of April?
Well, we're getting there with the information. A woman attempted to shoplift from a store and then got into a physical altercation in which she bit the victim. They say she got into a black pickup truck and left the area. If you can identify the person or have any information, you're asked to call the West Springfield Police Detective Nielsen. Leslie Nielsen.
Okay. Do we know what store this person was in before the fist fight happened?
It's clearly in the Century Center shops, but it doesn't show what store she.
So she wasn't like in the pit at Bob's, and she wanted an end table, and there was another guy that wanted the end table, and they had to go into a little tussle over who was going to get that end table.
And then she's like, "Well, if you don't want this, if you're going to take it, I'm going to steal it." She tries to steal the end table.
Yeah, right. Because otherwise somebody else is going to want to grab it.
Exactly. But there's no other details on what she took. But she looks like a pretty tough gal. I wouldn't mess with her.
Where's the other picture?
This is on 22 News. Woman is suspected of shoplifting outside of store on Memorial Avenue in West Springfield.
Let's see. Let me take a look and see whether this is a. I'm not seeing it. Well, I'm sure I'll find it. But nevertheless,
she's built like a Mack truck.
I mean, you can't judge a book by its cover. I mean, I know some of the most muscular and tough-looking people are actually soft on the inside. Here it is, West Springfield people. Okay, all
so you got to watch the video in order to see her.
All right, okay. Well, that's.
You see her?
Yeah, she's
brute.
she's built like a spark plug, but that's, who you don't want to judge a book by its cover. She can be very nice on the inside.
Well, I mean, if somebody's going to get into a fight and bite somebody, that's the kind of gal that does that.
It's the biting that kind of draws the line.
Yeah.
It's like, I know people that might steal something, but, would they bite somebody to steal something? That's a totally different thing.
Well, who knows? It depends on how badly you want something.
Let's say I was at a White Hut and someone handed me a burger with all them fried onions on it,
Yeah.
and I just bit it because it's like right in front of my face, but didn't see their finger holding onto it.
But
that would be the only plausible reason where I could say, all right, you bit somebody and it was an accident.
Did you see the White Hut Instagram page with the burger of the month?
No.
It's like one of them cowboy burgers with the onion rings and the barbecue sauce on it.
Yeah.
Looks pretty damn good.
All right, let me go take a look, because I've been kind of jonesing for going over there. Haven't been there in a long time.
Yeah. I recently had somebody borrow my meat slicer.
Yeah,
he was making bacon, and I got fresh smoked bacon over the weekend.
Ooh, how was that?
That was in trade of letting him use the meat slicer. Nice sliced packages of bacon. It was really good. There's something about like homemade smoked bacon that's way better than like an Oscar Mayer or something like that.
Are you talking about the new Big Back barbecue burger?
Yeah.
Ooh, that does
Did you
look.
see that?
It looks sloppy and delicious the way I
That's
like
exactly the way you want it.
Mm-hmm.
It's got 2 patties on it, and it's got onion rings,
bacon,
lovingly
smattered with cheese and onions.
Some pretty good stuff there. By the way, I did that show at the Munich House over the weekend.
Oh, how was that?
It was good. I like to do comedy for Schnitzel Trade.
Is that what you got paid?
No, I got paid.
Right,
it was just funny, But they had a whole buffet full of food. It was like I could take this entire pan of Spätzle home, a whole pan of it. But they had like a whole pan of the red cat. They had all my favorites right there.
Schnitzels?
They had it was like, I don't know if it was actual. It had the brown gravy on it. But it was almost like a pork loin, but that was cut up.
That sounds good.
The schnitzel is usually the fried.
It's like a pounded out piece of meat that's breaded, lovingly fried, and fats.
It was good nonetheless, and they had those Roquefort salads.
Aren't those good,
dude? That's like the dressing and the blue cheese and oh man,
I love
that's
that.
Some good stuff.
Yeah, there have been times, and I've done this at the fort too, where I've actually ordered that as a beverage.
The Roquefort dressing.
I'd like a big stein of Roquefort dressing, please.
And they hand it to you,
and that's
they
it.
come over in their lederhosen and they slap it down on the table,
and I just hoist it down.
Yeah.
Do it like a big, like a big German Prosit, and then down.
That's it, down.
I'm down. I don't need all those vegetables in the way. Vegetables grow in dirt. Roquefort grows wherever it can grow.
Jury selection for Karen Reed's second trial will resume today after 4 days of selection last week and ended with 10 jurors seated. More than 200 people were summoned to the Norfolk Superior Court in Dedham for potential jury service in the Reed case each day this past week. Not all are likely to show up. About 70 new potential jurors are being questioned each day. About 300 potential jurors were questioned individually at sidebar across 4 days of selection last week. Each day of the selection begins with the judge. We already kind of read through this story last week, but it will continue today. However, there was something over the weekend that I saw that one of the jurors. See, this is why it's going to take longer than, because people were like, "Oh wow, they already got 10 in 4 days. That's pretty good for a big trial like this." There's already some idiot who posted his jury ticket on Facebook.
Oh, Jesus.
That says, "Hey, look, I got picked for jury duty. I'm going to be a juror on the Karen Reed case." He will probably not be serving now on the Karen Reed case.
Well, if you want to get out of jury duty, that's a great way to do it.
And I was thinking that. I'm like, is he doing this because he's really that much of an idiot? Or is he doing this because he's like, hey, if I do this, then I won't have to sit for 3 months or however long this trial's going to take?
See, I would do it to get out of that jury. Out of serving on that particular trial. This guy may just be doing it because he's stupid.
Yeah.
Which, if you're trying to grab a jury of your peers in a case like this, someone who has not been tainted by the details of this particular story, you almost have to settle for someone who's stupid.
And I guess there's more like I don't know what happened. There was some footage of jurors going in and out of the courtroom. Somebody was posting that video,
right?
And that's where the judge was like, we can't have any identifiable information about the people showing up for jury duty. That's going to deter. See, that's the problem. When you start doing stuff like that, people are going to be less likely to even show up for the jury duty if you're outing them before they even get picked to be on the jury. You can't be posting footage of the people because you're part of the Free Karen Reed movement.
There are certain people involved in this story, and I'm not going to name any names, but he does go after some sort of reptilian type of moniker, where you just go, hey, maybe your coverage or thoughts about this whole thing are just damaging and stupid.
Well, I mean, listen, I can appreciate somebody who's passionate about making sure somebody doesn't go to jail, because you believe in injustices, but you can't play dirty like that. That's not the way to do that. There are other ways to point out inconsistencies within the legal system, and clearly, and I've said this all along, the more you read about this story and the more you find out about all the people involved, they're all kind of scumbags.
If you're
they each had, even the people that were in that house that night, when they talk, you can tell, wow, you guys are all kind of dirtbags.
Not for nothing, but if you're one of these people that's taking pictures of jurors, potential jurors walking in, isn't that somewhat of an obstruction of justice?
I would think that that's going to come back to bite somebody in the ass.
I mean, like a low-level obstruction, but nevertheless, to me, that should be somewhat of a punishable offense, like a fine or something.
Well, I guess only time will tell, and we'll find out, what's going to happen with that. Middle school is an awkward time, and most people would report they were not superstars in a gym class back then, but only one kid gets the joy of being picked last. I was picked last a lot.
Really?
Yeah.
How'd that feel?
Pretty emotionally damaging.
You still holding on to that anger?
No, I could care less.
Okay.
Yeah. Someone asked the internet, what examples of being picked last in gym class as an adult? Like, what kind of situations would you get to as an adult? This is a pretty interesting answer. Getting invited out to be the designated driver. We're only inviting you because we know you're not going to drink. So come on out. And actually, I wouldn't mind doing that, though. I wouldn't mind being the guy that makes sure everybody gets home okay.
Yeah, but on the other hand, if I was going out and everybody else was drinking, I'm not so sure I'd agree to even go out.
Yeah, I'd probably be.
At this point in my life. Like,
yeah,
I'm all right.
I'll be in bed by 7:45.
Exactly.
Yeah. Friends wanting a group photo together and then handing you the phone. People talking about party plans in front of you but not inviting you.
That would be upsetting.
Everyone going out for a lunch at work but not asking you to join. Oh, no. See, that happens here a lot. I'll get wind. If you stay here past a certain time, you'll hear somebody talking about, hey, we're all getting lunch up here. And I'm like, oh, that's nice that everybody up here gets lunch. Nobody offers to buy us breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
You got to remember, like, it's kind of like in shifts here. You know, the people that come in past 9 o'clock in the morning have a different interaction than we do. We don't really have any interaction with anybody here. There's only you, me, and who else? Mrs. Carey down the hall.
That's about it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, but different departments sometimes do things together. Like, the salespeople will do something that's fun for them. The business people do stuff that's fun for them, and all of us on the air, we don't get anything.
We haven't done any of that.
Apparently, there's been some talk about it.
All right, maybe as the cake czar, I should probably spearhead that one too.
That's what, but you're taking on too much. You're taking on way too much. That's for somebody else to do.
No. It's just saying something. and initiating the conversation.
Yeah, but I don't think you should be organizing it. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, I don't organize anything.
If you want to drop a hint, hey, it would be great if we could all get together for a lunch.
When I say the cake czar, the only thing I do is go order the cake. That's the only thing I do. Everything else is set up by others.
By the way, when's our next cake?
This coming Friday.
All right. Okay.
It's peaches, though.
Peaches? What's wrong with peaches?
I'm not a big peach fan.
Oh, see, I like
But it's
peaches.
not my choice. It's the choice of the people who agreed to choose. Well, I'm sure it's good. I mean, it's La Fiorentina. How could you?
They're not going to mess up a cake. If you want peach cake, it's going to be delicious.
Tres leches. It's like.
So it's like a 3 caramel peach cake.
Something like that. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. Wouldn't have been my choice, is what I'm saying. But again, I'm the one that lets the employees delegate what flavor of cake that they choose.
You got nothing to say about this.
All right. How about finding out your friends went out of town without calling or texting you?
Yeah. There's that.
I don't fraternize enough to be missing out on anything. Like if somebody comes to me, some people I know, like, oh, we went did this good camping trip over the weekend. Good for you. I'm not upset that you didn't ask me.
Yeah,
because I probably would have said no anyway. Being sat at the randoms table at a wedding.
Yeah, I've done that.
Or when your friend who lives out of town comes back for a week and doesn't even bother to tell you.
I got a friend that does that, but he's got friends and family, mostly family, all over the area. So I can't get upset with the guy if he doesn't have time to come out to Western Mass.
Being invited to an event on the day that it's happening, an event that has clearly been planned for weeks or months.
You don't mind being.
And by the way, do you want to come by just to be a seat filler?
Yeah. Don't take this wrong, but you're an afterthought.
What about when you're the one who always has to drop behind when the path is too narrow for 3?
Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Nobody eating your dish at the potluck.
I don't take that personally.
Well, that begs the question: what kind of nasty dish did you make?
Yeah, that's on you.
Yeah.
That's not because people are avoiding it. It's because you brought something gross.
Yeah. Chex Mix.
I spent all day in this Waldorf salad.
Oh, I hate Waldorf salad. That's disgusting. When you've met somebody multiple times, but they still say, "Hey, nice to meet you."
I'm kind of guilty of that because I'm so bad with names.
Well, it's funny. There was a couple the other night at the Munich house. I've clearly met them before.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, I know. And they were saying it to me. Hey, nice to meet you. And he said it like twice.
Yeah.
And I go, no, I've already met you. I know I've met you. Not that I would know who they are, but I know I've met them in another social setting with the same group of people.
Yeah.
Hey, whatever. Being single for the greater part of your adult life and not by choice. Well, that's really doesn't really fit into this category.
Not really.
Being seated at the kids' table because there's not enough room. I remember that drove me nuts. I went down to visit my sister years ago in Atlanta, and they had this big Thanksgiving dinner at their neighbor's house.
Right.
And I was 19. And I had to sit at the kids' table in the other room because there was no room at the adult table.
Do you remember?
And there was nobody older than 13 maybe.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there with a big scowl on my face because all I want to do is go in and drink the wine in the other room and have laughs with the adults.
I remember being at my grandmother's house and for years being at the kids' table with my sister and my 2 cousins. And nothing wrong with that. But then at some point I got invited to the adult table.
Ooh.
And I thought this is the best thing ever.
This is your ticket to ride.
This is my ticket. This shows me a little bit of respect. The next year they invited another guest to join us, and I had to go back to the kids' table. I got demoted.
Oh man, that's hard.
That was hard to take.
That's rough. I know we're late. Who cares?
Who cares?
I got nothing going on anyway. Being picked last at the pickleball courts. Okay, who's writing this thing? This is a Dave Coombs survey? These are all the things that Dave Coombs got left out of.
Survey said
about being picked last at the pickleball courts. That puts a notch in your crop, doesn't it? And being picked last at the swingers event. That would be
hurts.
the one. Yeah,
that hurts.
That was like that place down in Connecticut last week.
Is there anyone else we're missing? Quasimodo.
Oh yeah. I guess I'll take him.
We are offering refunds.
Yeah, are you shirts or skins? And the shirts was like those little net things they gave you in gym class. Remember those little? Yeah.
Yes.
Your Pioneer Valley forecast today going to be rainy with a high of 39. Tomorrow, mix of sun and clouds with a high of 39. It is 39 right now in downtown Springfield. I'm Steve Nagle, and that's the news on Rock 102. Oh, yeah.
What's a credit union? At Freedom, we're just what you need us to be. Your buddy, your backup, a boost for your business. We're your home base, that familiar building with the bell, where big things begin. But there's one thing we'll never be. Because there's banking, and then there's belonging. Freedom Credit Union. Make freedom yours at freedom.coop. Federally insured by NCUA. Shares and deposits in excess of NCUA limits are fully insured by MSIC Equal Housing Lender.
Taxes was feeling so stuck. Sitting in traffic, squeezing into a parking spot, all to squeeze in getting tax help during your lunch break. Now Taxes is a TurboTax expert who does your taxes for you, while you go about your day getting real-time notifications about their progress and the most money back guaranteed. Now this is Taxes. Intuit TurboTax. Get an expert now on TurboTax.com. Only available with TurboTax Live Full Service, real-time updates only in iOS mobile apps. See guarantee details at TurboTax.com/guarantees.
Listen up, fellow Gen Xers. Elizabeth Banks here. The recommended age for pneumococcal pneumonia vaccination has been lowered to 50 and older, even if you're healthy. It's up to us to lead the way. We've done this before. Music videos, fanny packs, even the World Wide Web. Let's do it again and get vaccinated, because we're at over 6 times greater risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Gen X, this is our shot. Visit vaxassist.com and schedule a vaccine today. Sponsored by Pfizer.
It's 7:52 with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
What'd she call it? Pneumococcal?
Pneumococcal.
Pneumococcal?
Yeah.
I like that word.
Do you really?
Pneumococcal.
Why do you like it?
Because it reminds me of funny words.
It is funny.
Like pneuma.
Yeah. Right, yeah.
How's your pneumococcal?
Yeah, pretty good.
All right.
Pretty good. You could see it from a mile away.
I bet you could.
Anyhow, we got stuff later on this morning. Vintage Skinnerd is coming to 52 Sumner. We'll have tickets for that show a little bit later on today, so make sure you are listening for your chance to win and win big.
Vintage Skinnerd.
Vintage.
That's spelled with
a V-Y.
V-Y.
Vintage.
Well, I'm glad they kept in line with the whole Leonard Skinnerd spelling.
If you had it with a V-I, I would think everyone would say, you should have had a V-Y, and they'd be kicking themselves in the butt for not doing it, for not thinking that way.
Just a couple of follow-ups from the Route 10 Tire listener line. Nobody treats Mistress this way, Mistress Steve this way, because I said Mistress Carrie.
Right.
Being left out of the employee lunches upstairs. Roquefort cheese, Bax, is just made anywhere. Is he saying isn't just made
because I said you can make it anywhere. It's a cheese that's only made in France in a cave. Useless fact of the day. Thank you very much.
Oh. Roquefort cheese is blue cheese, isn't it?
Yes, but it is only made in certain areas of the world, and in particular France in a cave.
I'm from Huntington. I only live about 3 miles from Steve's house.
That's creepy.
That's a little weird.
Thank you very much for nothing.
Title I is an outhouse. So somebody told me that Title V, we should actually get the Linton Septic guy on to talk about this. The Title V is the sand, the type of sand used for it's Title V sand.
I see.
But who came up with that? Who said, well, this is Title I sand.
Yeah, if you're going to have
this is 2, 3, and 4.
If you're going to turn your 3-bedroom into a 4-bedroom, you need new sand.
Well, you know about your sand titles, don't you?
No.
You got your Title I, your 2, your 3, your 4, and your 5.
That's the biggest.
That's the best. That's the one that they really care about. Yeah. So there you go. There's a little follow-up.
Fun fact.
Yeah.
It's 7:55 with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102. Rock 102, Springfield's Classic Rock. It's 8:09 and Led Zeppelin with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
It is going to be rainy today with a high of 39. Tomorrow, mix of sun and clouds with a high of 39. It is 39 right now, so we're just going to stay cool, folks. Staying cool.
Yeah, I saw in the forecast that I looked at of the Weather Channel that there could be a mix of rain and snow, and I'm like, come on now, let's stop talking about snow.
It's New England. We're not out of the woods yet. Remember we had that big giant snowstorm on like April 19th or something?
I know.
Many years ago. It could happen again.
We were up in Vermont over the weekend, and I mean, granted, it's Vermont, and we are closer to the equator, but there was still like piles of snow on the ground. I'm like, how is this possible that even way up here? And it's not even that far off the state line. You're talking maybe like another 40 minutes off the state line. There's still big, giant snow drifts all over the place.
It's funny. I stopped yesterday on my 6-hour tour of the tri-state area.
Yeah.
Yesterday, we stopped in, I think it was Westport yesterday. And the trees are in bloom. And it's so weird because – they're just kind of starting here now.
Yeah, but
you can see a little bit of buds and all that stuff. But these were like in full bloom, like magnolia tree, and I'm like, wow, that's pretty early.
Is
it early, or is it just because of where it is on the?
I think it's because of where it is. But I mean, you're talking about Westport, what, an hour
and a half
maybe?
From here? Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. You want to talk about dumb parking tickets or sports records? Because I got both here.
Well, let's either one. I'll take either one.
Well, let's start with the sports records here because this might actually take up the entire time.
Okay.
With Alex Ovechkin, this is an internet post. With Alex Ovechkin trying and probably passing the Great One scoring record, this was written before he did.
Day or two ago.
Is there any records left in sports that cannot be attained? And ESPN came up with this list. Alex Ovechkin's 895th goal joins a list of sports' most unbreakable records.
Okay.
And so Stephen Curry, 4,000-plus career three-pointers, which is currently active. Curry added yet another milestone to his legendary resume in March, becoming the first player in NBA history to make 4,000 career three-pointers. The Golden State Warriors superstar hit the mark against Sacramento Kings at Chase Center, further cementing his status as one of the greatest shooters of all time. It's always hard. I don't think anything is unattainable. I think it's rare that it will ever be broken. Curry is currently in his league of his own from deep since he became the all-time leader in made threes on December 14th of 2021, eclipsing Ray Allen's 2,974. LA Clippers guard James Harden is the closest active player with 3,160 and counting, and Allen sits third on the list.
I think there are some that are seemingly unbreakable.
Mm-hmm.
I think like Joe DiMaggio and the 56 game hitting streak. You have any idea how hard that is
to do? Yeah,
to do, and that streak was broken up by another hitting streak. I mean, he had a hitting streak, then didn't hit, and then all of a sudden he's got 56 games in a row. I think that's virtually impossible, and no one's come. I mean, a couple people have had long-standing hitting streaks, but they haven't gone anywhere near 50. Never mind 56.
His biggest hit was Marilyn Monroe,
and you know what? He knocked that one around the park for a little bit.
There you go.
He went yard a few times.
Yeah. Emmitt Smith, 18,355 rushing yards.
Mm-hmm.
Smith broke Chicago Bears legend Walter Payton's all-time rushing record of 16,726 yards in 2002. Of course, Smith wasn't quite finished yet. He played for 2.5 more seasons, winding up with 18,355 rushing yards. That's probably a hard one to break, too.
Yeah.
Jerry Rice with 22,895 receiving yards. And the previous see, this is the thing. The previous record was 12,965.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not just breaking a record; it's shattering a record. And how can you, is the next person even going to come close to something like that? maybe
it's possible, but so much of it, and those kinds of records really dictates how the game is being played at any one given time.
Yeah.
There may be, for the longest time, the NFL was focused on like short, West Coast offense, passes and stuff like that. Well, you're not going to get that many yards if you're throwing a 5-yard pass to a guy, but if you're throwing bombs like Joe Montana used to do, Jerry Rice, or Steve Young used to do. Well, yeah, you can get plenty of yards that way.
Wayne Gretzky, 1,963 career assists. The old saying about the great one is that if he never scored a single goal in his career, he'd still lead the NHL in total points on assists alone. To give you a sense on just how difficult it would be for somebody to do that, he would have to average 98 assists a year over a 20-year career just to approach that total. See, again, you don't even know if these things are ever going to be broken again.
Yeah. Here's one. This is a pretty good one. Cy Young, his career pitching wins. 511 wins as a pitcher, 100 more than anyone else in history. And right now, the current active leader is Justin Verlander, who at the age of 42 has 262. I mean, almost half of that. But again, pitchers don't pitch the full games anymore. They don't pitch as regularly as they used to.
The only that's such a good record. The MLB should name an award after that.
You know what? I think that guy Cy Young really deserves that.
Yeah. Hey, you should name an award after this Cy guy.
I don't know. There's probably an award after Cy Becker.
Is there?
Shouldn't there be?
Wilt Chamberlain, 50.4 points per game in a single season. He also had sex with 20,000 women. That's the only thing I know him for.
If you had sex with 20,000 women, you wouldn't have time or the energy
to do 50.4 points per game in a single season.
Yeah, there's no way. You couldn't even lift your arms, for crying out loud.
Well, maybe he's an overachiever. He did one season of 50.4 points per game in a single season, and he did 20,000 women over the course of a lifetime. I mean, how many years did he do that, the 20,000 women?
He died at like the age of 62, I believe, right?
All right.
So let's say he probably got a good 45 years of let me get the calculator out here. Let's just say oh, come on now. Really? It's going to play games with me now? All right. Okay, calculator. 42 okay, 20,000 women, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Divided by 45 years.
Okay.
That's 444.44 women per year.
He could definitely do that.
Divided by 365, that's 1.2 women per day. Now, I don't know where you're getting these 0.2 women, but that's got to add up.
Well, I mean, if you do a lot of threesomes after a game, that's his 3-pointers that he was doing.
There's a reason they called him the Stilt.
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, was he invited to a lot of swingers parties? Was that how he achieved that goal?
I don't know, but see, to me, that's the only thing that makes any kind of sense at all.
That he would have to be going to group sex parties in order to achieve that.
He'd have to. There's just not enough hours in the day to have sex with more than one woman at a time.
Yeah.
Different women.
The Boston Celtics, 8 straight NBA titles.
That would be very hard to break, but I wouldn't say it's impossible.
30 World Gymnastics gold medals from Simone Biles. That's going to be a hard one to break.
I would think the Michael Phelps one would be hard to break. What was that, like 23 medals?
Yeah.
That's got to be a tough one.
Cal Ripken Jr., 2,632 consecutive games played. How was that even an achievement, though? You played.
If you can play that long with any sport for that kind of longevity without getting injured, that's pretty remarkable.
UConn Huskies women's basketball, 111 game winning streak.
That'll be hard to beat.
And the other active leader are the UConn Huskies. You got to beat yourself in this game.
Yeah.
Ricky Henderson, 1,406 career stolen bases. I think that's a pretty good achievement.
I mean, Ricky Henderson's one of the all-time greats. That'll never be broken in our lifetime.
And Michael Phelps with 28 Olympic gold medals, or Olympic medals. It doesn't say gold.
Yeah.
And the active leader right now is Kate Ledecky at 14.
But you'd have
14 more to go.
So he was like sweeping the Olympics for a couple of Olympic games, and that's really, really, you got to be something like otherworldly to get to that point.
I remember his like workout regime was like getting up and running 10 miles and then getting in a swimming pool and then eating 12 egg and cheese sandwiches for breakfast and then getting back out on the treadmill. I'm like, I'll take the diet portion.
Oh, I could definitely eat 12 sandwiches, but whether I want to get on a treadmill after I'm done.
Yeah, I know. I mean,
I might get a cramp.
Well, I guess you got to burn off all that insulin that you built up in your system. That's how it goes right there.
Who can walk on a treadmill when I can no longer feel my toes?
Well, I mean, wasn't he busted for like smoking weed or something like that? Wasn't it like one of the things that he was,
Well,
seen
how else are you supposed to get hungry enough?
Well, that's exactly how I was looking at it. I'm like, of course he's eating 12 egg and cheese sandwiches because he's getting high as a kite before he does it. That's not just runner's high or swimmer's high. That's our good high.
But the funny part about it is even after 12 egg and cheese sandwiches, he's still at a calorie deficit.
Which is weird, isn't it? He was eating like 12,000 calories a day.
Yeah.
But he was burning 20,000 calories.
Easily.
Yeah.
It's 821 with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
Springfield.
Rock 102, Springfield's Classic Rock. It's 827 and Springsteen with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
Dan Brown will have the full forecast for you. Who's a meteorologist's favorite in the Western Mass, I believe? Isn't he the top up there?
No, actually, believe it or not, no. We just alerted that the fact that the Best of the Valley Advocate Readers Award are out, and if you're looking for the favorite local meteorologist, is Dave Hayes, the Weather Nut, followed by Jenna Brown and Brian Lapis. I would have put Dan Brown way ahead of all of them, but that's me. I should also say that we did not win local radio personalities this year for, I believe, the 15th year in a row.
Why is that?
Because Monty Belmonte keeps stuff in the box.
The whole thing is clearly a ballot stuffing type contest. If we made the effort and actually put a link up on our social media pages about, hey, don't forget to vote for us in the Valley Advocate, we might have a snowball's chance in hell of actually winning the thing. But to me, it's not one of these things. These things called ratings prove otherwise.
Yeah, and revenue.
Yeah.
But, and those are the things that actually matter. Interestingly enough, you could look at any number of things on this page and say, there ain't no way that's happening.
Yeah. What were some of the other categories you were first of all, who's the meteorologist? Did we get a meteorologist?
Yeah, Dave Hayes, the Weather Nut.
Dave Hayes. Okay.
Okay. And he does a good job. Local.
See, I can see that happening because there's a guy who's built an online presence for himself over many, many years.
Yeah.
And I think he's earned that title.
I think he does.
Of being the best of.
Let's see. Local TV personality.
Dave Madsen.
No.
Oh, who?
Wesley Days.
Wesley Days.
Wesley Days. Now he's
the guy who was in The Fan.
No. See, that's you're thinking of Wesley Snipes. This is Wesley Days.
The guy who was in White Men Can't Jump?
No, that was also Wesley Snipes. I believe Wesley Days does not have nearly the tax problems that Wesley Snipes had. Followed by our very dear friend Brian Lapis.
Okay.
Followed by the very lovely Ciara Speller.
Okay. I think that list might be a little... See, that's what I'm talking about.
But oddly enough, Wesley Days is number 3 in the radio category. I was not aware he even owned a radio, much less participated in it.
I had no idea he had a radio show. This is what I'm talking about.
I could go on and talk about some of the other things that I just that are head scratchers, but I'll probably hold that and keep it to myself.
Are you sure?
Yes.
All right.
Don't you think?
Maybe.
Don't you think it might be better to not point out the preposterousness of some other categories?
I don't know. Isn't that what we do? I just for years, it's always been a popularity contest. And again,
and that's
maybe
fine.
If we made the effort. But I always forget that it happens every year.
Because we're not really, it's not important to us.
Right. I'm not, hey, listen, I got a couple of Reader Raves awards from being the best DJ. You know why?
Why?
Because me and my other email address were the only two votes to submit. The best event DJ, because nobody knew that was going on for the Mass Live Reader Raves years ago. I got 2 of those awards. Best DJ, best event DJ.
Yeah, we got
2 years in a row.
We got a bunch of them. One, I don't know where many of them are. They may have been filed somewhere. I know one holds like one of the legs of a table here at the radio station from wobbling too much.
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
And that was something you had to pay to go to the dinner for, too, didn't you?
And that may have been why we never went back to the dinner.
Well, you never know. There's always next year.
Where our lack of effort may get us another second place finish.
I don't judge my career based on winning awards for it.
No, either do I. I'd much rather judge my career based on longevity.
Yeah, like
and a regular paycheck.
Well, and not to say Monty hasn't been on the air for what? I would say 20 years. I would say.
Just about 20 years.
Yeah, but he's just got a lot of friends.
Yes, he does.
Yeah,
a lot of friends in high places who.
When he's walking that shopping cart up and down 91 during the thing, he says to the hobos, "Hey, go sign up for an email address at the library and vote for me in the Vested Valley Advocate."
It's 8:33 in Rock 102. Here's 8:35 with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102. It's time for news brought to you by Yankee Home Improvement. If you're thinking about a new walk-in shower system, or call Yankee Home and mention Rock 102, get 1021 off plus 50% off installation all month long. Here's local radio icon Steve Nagle.
Hey, the Springfield Thunderbirds punched their ticket to the Calder Cup playoffs. Yeah! Zing, 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 zing.
They still got 4 more games on the regular season schedule, too. So you're not waiting till like the last possible second. So good for the Thunderbirds.
The 2022 Eastern Conference champions will begin their playoff run the week of April 21st, with the opening round scheduled to come out following the conclusion of the AHL season on April 19th. The Thunderbirds secured their place in the postseason thanks to a 17-5-0-3 stretch from January 4th to March 9th. Now, please, I am not well-versed in the hockey record thing. 17 is wins.
Yeah.
What's 5? Losses?
5 losses.
0 what?
0 ties.
And 3?
Probably shootouts.
I don't know what I'm talking about. I just know it's a good thing that they're in the playoffs.
That's what matters.
Really what matters all the most.
I don't know all the ins and outs of hockey, but that's it.
The nice thing when I go to those games, you don't have to be a big fan of hockey to enjoy all the things that are going on there.
No,
There's
it's a
so
fun
much
time.
going on. Yeah,
it's a fun time.
I go with I've been with Mike Ostrowski before. He's like into it.
Oh yeah,
and he's like pointing out to me like because I'm an idiot, and he's pointing out to me what this means and what that means because I'm like, when's the home runs happen? When do they kick the puck field goal?
When are
into the 2 sticks in the middle of the rink?
Wow, what a great touchdown!
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to be a great hockey fan, and now that the parking garage is open, the convenience of going downtown for a hockey game has just gotten that much easier.
Somebody said to me over the weekend, I was out at that home outlet event on Saturday.
Yeah.
And somebody said, what is with these people complaining about the parking garage? And I said, yes, you're right. People are complaining that there's a new parking garage there, and it only holds 800 and something spaces. You know how many thousands of people go to that, for a main event? I'm like, yes, it's to alleviate the parking that's already kind of congested. MGM, thank God they were there.
Yeah.
That they had all that parking space. And, yeah, the casino would get crowded on a Friday night, but it's going to be less It's not going to be as much congestion of people just passing through.
Listen, there's more spaces available in the new garage than there were in the old garage, which you couldn't park in like a third of it because it was falling apart. This is a big that was for anyone that's punching holes for that whole project. Let me tell you something. That's a big development downtown.
Yeah, if you're looking to attend the playoff games, the pay-as-we-play plan allows you to lock in your seat and pay for the 2025 Calder Cup playoffs as the Thunderbirds advance through each round.
They'll know by the 19th who they're facing in that first round.
Speaking of parking, I did a video over the weekend of
I saw that.
Yeah. I pull up to the event on Saturday, and our Rock 102 van, with our names on it, by the way, is parked way over the line.
It's straddling a line.
Yeah. And I had to make a video of that you can see on the socials, because it did look like he parked with a Ouija board. Like, which way do I go? Oh, it's gonna land right here.
But you brought up an excellent point, because you're at an event.
One of us are there.
You get blamed for the bad parking
because our names are on the side of the van,
and people assume that we drove the van to get there. They don't put those keys in our hands.
These kids just don't care.
No, they don't. Did you tell our road crew member to straighten it out?
He wouldn't do it.
What do you mean he wouldn't do it?
He's like, I just figured because it was parked far enough away from the building that there really wasn't going to be anybody there. Because when we park the van, we park it, further out.
So it's more visible.
So people can see it from the road.
Yeah.
It's a pretty big parking lot in that plaza with the Raymore and Flanagan and everything there. So he's like, no, I'm just going to leave it there. That's what he said. I'm just going to leave it there.
Huh. Yeah. Well, I'll be damned. Of course, if he hadn't been working here for all these years, and he has been, he's a good kid. But come on, next time, let's try to park like human beings.
A little bit more professionalism.
Yeah, we don't park like animals.
I like how I said in the video, I won't say his name, but it rhymes with Alan. And there's somebody wrote in the comments, I can't think of any name that rhymes with Alan. Can you?
Fallon? Felon?
Jellin?
Blowlin? Magellan. Right. Plenty of people rhyme.
There was a heavy police presence on the corner of Spring Street and Pearl Street in Springfield on Sunday afternoon. When the Western Mass News crews arrived, they saw multiple Springfield police cruisers as well as the Mass State Police. You know what's on Pearl Street?
The police station?
Yeah!
Well, what are the odds of that?
Oh, my God. We drove by this building, and there was all these police cars out front.
All in one parking lot. It was crazy.
Caution tape was also set on. Yes, that's their practice area. The caution tape. You don't think the cops go out there on a weekend and start setting up caution tape like, oh, look how it looks around these signs.
They set up the caution tape so they can have their tailgate parties out there.
Yeah, that's how
they're off duty.
Right.
I just said duty.
The cause of this presence is unconfirmed at this time. We'll keep you updated on there and online as well as when we have more information. This was 15 hours ago.
And still nothing.
Did anybody come out and go, guys, this is where we park? Speaking of parking, if you ask somebody about the dumbest parking ticket they've received, you're bound to hear some stories, but this guy probably has everyone beat. A man in Montreal is fighting a parking ticket that his daughter got in front of their home on April 1st. And it's so bad it actually should be an April Fool's Day prank, but it wasn't. Early in the morning, the city installed signage for a brand new bus stop in front of the man's house. The sign is actually his front lawn, in his front lawn. The crew finished up at about 7:55 a.m. Then just 10 minutes after the sign was put up, parking enforcement came by and gave his daughter a parking ticket for her car blocking a bus stop. But her car was there overnight before the bus stop even existed.
Oh, okay.
And the man says they were given no advance warning about the bus stop coming, so there's no way they could have known that they wouldn't have been able to park there. And the city agrees. They say they never update property owners about their 10,000 bus stops throughout the city, but the ticket will not be reversed. They say once the ticket is written, there's nothing they can do. I don't believe that for a second.
No, I don't believe it either.
There was an issue I had with the Springfield Parking Authority a few years ago where the parking space, we took the parking space and there was, I did that parking app thing where you download the app.
Yeah.
But there was 2 different numbers on the meter. One side had whatever the I can't.
Yeah.
I'd have to go back and look. But
Yeah, one is
had,
the space, but one is the
digital one.
Right.
So then I went and put the digital one in there because that's what you paid, and the parking ticket was still put on there. And while I was able to contest it and win, that took a month to contest that, to get a hearing in order for it to be reversed.
You're not the only person I've heard be confused by that. A lot of people get confused.
The man is contesting this madness, but he's annoyed that he has to spend his time and money and energy on something so stupid. How are you not able to reverse a decision on a parking ticket?
Especially since you took pictures and showed that it was like an unclear, easily. Like a pretty easy thing to confuse.
I can see, maybe a court system thing, because once you realize like the court system and the RMV are 2 separate entities, so if let's say you had like a guy with an expired license or something like that, and it really wasn't expired, it was just because the update wasn't done by the RMV fast enough to the court. I can see that causing an issue. Where you'd have to go to court and you'd have to contest these things.
Right.
But it's a parking ticket. It's not, there's no criminality to it. It's just a civil fine. And once you find out, like, yeah, that does seem stupid. This guy got the sign put up in front of his house while he was still parked there. That's kind of like entrapment, basically.
And you would think that it would be pretty easy to resolve.
Yeah.
If you went to like, your traffic court, argued it, through with the judge, you'd probably say, oh, okay, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
But they don't make it that easy.
I don't know. It's kind of dumb.
It is.
Your Pioneer Valley forecast today, going to be rainy with a high of 39. Tomorrow, mix of sun and clouds with a high of 39. It is 39 right now in downtown Springfield. I'm Steve Nagle, and that's the news on Rock 102. Oh, yeah.
Rock, it's 8:52, and Wanda Sykes with Bax and Nagle and Rock 102.
Well, she's pretty good at those vocals.
Yeah, she is. Yeah. You wouldn't hear that. You wouldn't know that to hear her speaking voice, but yes, that's true.
The weather, dreary today, high of 39. Tomorrow, high of 39. It's 39 now in downtown Springfield.
This week on Baxi's Musical Podcast, which, by the way, did not win the Best of Valley Advocate Readers Poll Award, but nevertheless,
again?
I know, but nevertheless, my guest this week is the legendary Lauren Molinaire. And you may say, who? If you were ever in Detroit, Michigan in the 1960s, you probably know who Lauren Molinaire was. It was a part of a band called The Dogs. They were around about the same time as the Stooges and the MC5, very much in the mix of all of that. But he also opened up for Bob Seger, AC/DC, Kiss. They shared the same management as Van Halen. He's got stories about all of them. His brand new band called the Slam Denistas is about to release their second album called Wild and Restless on the 25th of April. It's really, really good. And it's a real interesting interview that's available right now on Apple Podcast, Spotify, the Rock 102 YouTube channel, rock102.com, and on the Rock 102 app. And it's all brought to you by Metro Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram at Chicopee and Rock 102 Springfield's Classic Rock.
Here's one of the things we didn't get to in the news. The Calvin Theater remains closed 18 months after what is that? How's that word? How do they call him the recalcitrant impresario?
Recalcitrant.
What does that mean?
I don't. Let me look it up.
Thank you for saying you didn't know, because I don't know what that. Having it.
Recalcitrant means, and I quote from the internet, refers to someone who is unwilling to do what they are asked to do or ordered to do, even if it is reasonable. A person who is obstinately defiant of authority or restraint. A synonym for recalcitrant would be opposed, rebellious, resistant, and refractory.
For all the information they get wrong, they use these words that idiots like me, who probably don't have better than a third grade reading level,
right,
using things like that.
Yeah, but you look it up, and all of a sudden now you don't.
Recalcitrant impresario?
Yes.
I would never use that phrase ever again, even knowing what that means.
Would you call him refractory?
Refractory, perhaps.
Obstinately defiant?
No, I'd call him the guy who who's been dragging his feet to get a deal done. Eric Shore and 2 new operators announced grand plans for a reopening, leaving a void at the top of the city's entertainment food chain. The most recent Calvin show was a Led Zeppelin tribute band in January of 2023. I saw that show.
And you were there.
I was there.
The very last show.
Since then, the song remains the same, with downtown businesses, musicians, and city officials calling for reopening and bemoaning lost shows, lost foot traffic, and lost opportunities. Local Burger is on Main Street, about a block from the Calvin, with a front row seat to the Calvin Theater. On nights when there is something going on at the Calvin, we are busier, said Local Burger's owners. On nights that is something going on at Pearl Street, we're busier. It's business for everybody. There has been little news out of Shore, who didn't respond to phone calls and texts seeking comment. He's no longer beholden to Northampton's License Commission, and he no longer holds a liquor license in the city. You could make a ton of money by unloading this and giving it to somebody who wants to bring more stuff to downtown. And a Calvin Theater, as outdated as it is, it's still a great place to see some shows.
You know, the Academy of Music has been, putting in some great shows over there in the last 2 years. Some really, really good ones. And all the business is going there.
Yeah.
And it's not going to the Calvin. And there are so many artists that are currently on tour, like right now, that it's a shame that Northampton's not getting any of that. I just looked at the Academy of Music website. You're opening up for Greg Morton in September.
I am.
Morton's hilarious.
Morton, you are a mental case.
We interviewed him in Montreal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be open. That's gonna be a big show up there.
Very cool.
Look at me getting around the places. I go
look
a German restaurant one weekend and a renowned theater in Western Massachusetts another month.
Yeah, look at me pushing your shows.
Yeah.
How about that? But crap or get off the pot, dude. It's either unleash it, give somebody else an opportunity to use that beautiful theater for the purpose that it's intended for, or just stop it. Just stop.
Now, the Academy of Music, that's like run by an organization, right? That's like a trust organization type of deal.
I'm not sure who actually runs it, but DSP shows because it's not the ones that booked it.
I don't think it's a singular owner. I think it's one of those.
I could be wrong. I think the city manages that building.
Yeah.
Because remember when we did our live show there?
Yeah.
And it was like 1,000,000 degrees, and we couldn't change the thermostat because the town had to be the one to change the thermostat.
I thought that was the union who had to be the one to change the
Maybe
thermostat.
It's a union, but I think it was like the city was the one who said, "Well, what are we heating the whole building here?
Well,
heating the whole town?"
From what I heard, we're not allowed back there anyway.
Because of the wording, because of our filthy language.
There was some content, I guess, in there but that's art. That's
It
the whole
is.
idea of art.
That's it.
Is not everybody's gonna like, and frankly, the audience that was there for us. It wasn't like we were just like, hey, yeah, come and see this show nobody knows anything about. You come out here, and people get offended by it.
And if you'd seen the live show, you knew what we were all about.
But yeah, it's a shame.
It is.
The Calvin. I once opened for Tom Cotter there.
That's right. That's right. You
back
did
in the day.
Yeah, I've seen my share of shows over there.
Yeah.
I don't know. Speaking of great shows, there are great shows at venues that are open and being managed very well, including 52 Sumner in Springfield. Vintage Skinnerd is coming on the 12th. I believe that's Saturday, I believe?
Yes.
Saturday. Tickets will be at Will Call at the venue the night of the show. You got to present your photo ID if you're going to be there. But 10th caller right now, 293-1021. Tickets to see Vintage Skinnerd at 52 Sumner.
You'll get yourself a pair of tickets.
There you have it.
Mm-hmm.
There you have it. It's 7:58 on Rock 102.
You hear that?